All right. We're live. Yeah, man, we're live. Welcome to the Contagious Thoughts Podcast. And guys, we're in the off season now. So welcome to the off season. We have successfully finished season 1 and we're in the off season, and all that means is we're just slowing down a little bit, still dropping every week, but slowing down a little bit so that I don't burn out, and also preparing for season 2. So I explained this in the last episode, but I see a season as, if we're going to make an analogy to like a recording artist, like a musical recording artist, like a rapper or a singer, and a season would be like an album. You know, and in between the album, they might still do features and they might still do tours and whatnot. But the album is like the body of work, right? So a season for me is like a body of work. And honestly, the off season for me is honestly like another body of work as well, because we're going to have a lot of great episodes in the off season. But as far as what you can expect full episodes, like our full normal, like full length, like over an hour long episodes to drop every other week instead of every week. And in the off weeks, we'll have episodes like this that are like shorter episodes, where we're diving into different like various topics. And I think that this will give listeners a chance to just kind of get to know like the show outside of just having guests, get to know me as a host, and just get a feel for the platform and what the platform is about. One thing that we did see in season 1 is a lot of people would come and support the guests because, a lot of our guests have great followings on social media and whatnot and in real life, but they would come for the guests, and then they wouldn't. Sometimes they would stick around and subscribe and come to the other episodes, but a lot of them would just like come for the guests and then like not show up for the next episode. And so we're like, wow, how do we combat that, or how do we pivot so that we can actually like grow the following of the actual show, the actual podcast? And part of that is doing some more episodes with like my wife and I, who she's kind of like potentially a co-host. We'll see how it goes. But also doing more episodes like this. So today, I'm pretty excited for what we have to jump into. But before we jump into the content for the day, which I'm really excited for, I first want to say, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Please. It's a great help to the show and the channel. All the people who have subscribed this far, thank you guys, appreciate it. And leave a comment, let us know what you think of the episode. The one thing that I feel like I don't get nearly enough of is feedback from you guys. Like, what do you like, what do you not like, what could be better, what do you want to see next, what topics do you want to see discussed next? Don't be shy, leave a comment. Also, we got plenty of merch, even like in the camera frame right now, like behind me, there's a pretty cool hoodie. It's probably my favorite. And then I'm wearing another hoodie. It says, I love the Contagious Thoughts Podcast. Go on www.thecontagiousthoughtspodcast.com and check out the merch and, show support. I probably make like $4 or $5 off of each one. But it's still a great support for the show, and you're like a walking ad for the podcast as well. So check that out. Last but definitely not least, probably the most important thing is please subscribe to our Patreon. It's only $5 a month. We have 6 subscribers right now, and thank you, all 6 of you guys. And we're looking to grow that because it's $5 a month, but the more people that do it is the more obviously like revenue that we're able to make as a podcast from Patreon. So the group is called the Contagious Collective, and you get plenty of behind the scenes footage. When I say behind the scenes footage, I mean like unreleased content, VIP episodes. We literally record episodes like this just for Patreon that never get released to the public. So, there could be various topics that you could connect with or you could vibe with that we could be doing on Patreon that you would never know about unless you're subscribed. And it just helps the show. So helps me, helps the show. We appreciate you guys. So on to the episode. So one of the things that I love to do is I love to listen back to episodes and like redigest them. Because when you're in the moment as a host, it's like I'm trying to like be present in the moment and really be there with the guests. And it's it's sometimes like hard to fully process the things that are being said. And we have a lot of amazing guests on the show, and they say a lot of profound things. And so I like to go back through the episodes and just deeply process and like reflect on what was said. And there's a lot of takeaways, like for me, like things that I've learned that I want to share with you guys, things that I have been just greatly impacted by, and things that I'm actually like applying to my own journey in entrepreneurship and as a business owner, as a human being, as a person, that I would love to share with you guys. And so I recently listened back through episode 11 with Brian Rashid, and man, like there's so many nuggets. Today I'm gonna share 3 takeaways, and that's gonna be my setup um for these smaller kind of shorter episodes. I'm gonna get on here, we'll do a quick intro, and then I'm gonna share 3 takeaways, and then we'll see you next week for the full episode. So one of my biggest takeaways from that episode was the concept of the digital world leading us to the natural world. So, like, we start on our phones, right? And we see things on our phones that hit us, that impact us. And what we see on our phones, whether we're on IG or YouTube or whatever we're on, and it like forces us or inspires us to want to get into the natural world, which means like get into nature. And for me, doing that is a way for me to center myself. So I see something online, it's like, oh snap, like I need to like recenter myself. Let me go into the natural world. Let me go outside and go for a walk. Let me have a moment where I'm fully present. Let me go to the beach, sit by the shore, listen to the waves. Let me go on a hike, get into the mountains and feel the fresh air on my face, look at the beautiful scenery, look at like I like lookouts. So I'll drive up a mountain or walk. Well, I do some hiking, but like the lookouts in my area, I mostly drive to them, and I'll go there and just sit. I'll bring my laptop sometimes. I'll just sit and process, and it's a great time, and and just space, like creating that space to reflect on like what's next, like what have you accomplished thus far, and to a chance to be grateful for that, but then a chance to reflect on, well, what am I doing with my life, like what's next for me, like like it's a chance to get in touch or in tune with like your gut or your intuition, or as I like to call it, like your deep knowing, something that you know deep inside, but sometimes it takes those moments to just pause, like all the noise from your day-to-day life, your job, your friends, your family, um, kids. I have 3 kids, so I don't get to hear adult thoughts often, or just hear my own thoughts. I'm constantly hearing a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, or a newborn's voices in my head, which is amazing. It's great, and I love my kids to death. But there's also a pretty big need for me to like just step away and have a moment to pause and just reflect. So that was my first takeaway. The second was uh, he said, if you can't figure it out, get close to the sun. And when I first heard that, I was like, okay, like you can't figure it out, like go out in nature. It's like kind of the same as the first point that I made. But what he actually meant by that is if you're struggling to figure out like what's next on your journey, or just what's next as you pursue your dream and you're making steps towards that, get close to someone who's already doing it. It could be a family member. He mentioned like it could be an aunt or uncle, or aunt or uncle, and say like for example, like you are like me and you are a videographer. You love to create using videos. You love to get paid for creating, and creating dope videos, right? And you're like, man, like I feel like I want to level up, but I don't quite know how to. Like I have a dream of where I want to get to and what I want to accomplish with this, but I don't quite know how to get there. Like get close to someone who is there, who is there already, or maybe is really close to like what you're trying to accomplish, and tag along like for free. Like, it could be asking that person like, hey, like, can I, like, the next time you do a shoot, can I roll with you? Or hey, can I shadow you? Or yo, like, I'll buy you lunch if I can just ask you some questions, just pick your brain. Or it could be a relationship where you create dope content and dope videos, and you say, hey, could I send you my project that I just worked on? I'm just curious on your tips. Like, but it's like you're getting close to someone who's already doing it. And that does a couple things. I mean, one, you can get great feedback, great advice, great perspective. But the other thing is, like, it's inspiration, because sometimes like things hit me, like in life, like things happen and it impacts me in different ways. And it's not impossible to get thrown off track, or to get knocked off course, or to get discouraged, or to feel like, dang, am I ever gonna accomplish this dream? Am I ever gonna reach there? But when you're with somebody, or you're close to somebody who has already accomplished it, it just makes it that much more tangible. You're like, oh no, I can do this. Like, that person is dope and they did it, I'm also dope. I can do it. Like, whether you call yourself dope or not, I think you should. Speaking positively about yourself, I think it's a good thing. Not in an arrogant way, like, oh, like I'm the greatest of all, but having a confidence and a respect for yourself, and honoring yourself, and believing in yourself. I think that's important. So that whole concept of like, if you can't figure it out, get close to the sun. It's like a figure of speech, for just getting close to um, someone who, like, has already accomplished that thing. Um, and one of the things that I also wanted to mention is, if you're starting something and, like, you're having difficulty with moving forward, and this is kind of connected to the second point, but maybe a little bit of a tangent, and you're having a difficulty with moving forward, or taking the first step, or maybe you took the first step, but then taking, the next steps after that first step is really difficult. I really believe in introspection. And some of us are naturally introspective. Like, we naturally are looking at, like, we're looking internally, and examining ourselves, exploring what's inside of us. But some of us, it might take a little more work, it's not as natural. And I really believe that asking ourselves a question of like, why, like, why, like, why am like, what is it that is preventing me from taking the next step? Am I scared of something? Am I terrified of something? Am I just like lazy? Like, if I'm procrastinating, like, what is leading to this procrastination? For me, it's overwhelm. Like, when I'm overwhelmed, I procrastinate. If I know I have a big meeting at 4 o'clock, man, I'll find myself I'll find myself doing like everything but focusing on what I need to focus on, because I'm so overwhelmed. It's like I want to pretend like the task at hand doesn't exist. And procrastination is one of the ways that, like, it's like a coping mechanism. That's a terrible coping mechanism, because then it just leads to being more stressed out, because you procrastinated and didn't do whatever prep work you should have done to prepare for that big meeting, or that big conversation, or that whatever it is, right? But asking yourself why, like, what is preventing you from taking that next step, but not just asking the question, like, being really, really honest, like, being so honest that, like, you're not even like it's easy to, like, ask a question and then be easy on ourselves, but like, to ask the question but to allow yourself to see the things that, like, you're afraid of seeing, like, whatever answer it is, as far as the reason as why, like why you're not taking those next steps, like, that reason could be very deep, and it could be kind of scary to explore, but I feel like the pain is worth it. I think the pain is so worth it, because if you're honest with that question, if you're honest with whatever that the answer is to that question, I really do believe that identifying that thing is like the first step to moving past it or overcoming it. And once you've identified what that thing is, then you can figure out what the next course of action is. Like if you have a coach in your life, like you could talk about it with your coach, talk about it with close friends. You can journal about it. If you have a therapist, you could talk about it with your therapist. Or just a trusted person, or just go into nature, like we talked about for the first point, like go into nature and just kind of sit with it and process it and figure out how you can overcome whatever that thing is. But I think that was a really interesting addition to like the second point. My third and final, takeaway is I'm going to quote, he said, "You will experience your dreams eventually." Like you absolutely will experience your dreams eventually. Believe that. You will experience your dreams eventually and right now. Like, I thought that when he started the sentence by saying, "You will experience your dreams eventually," I was like, okay, that's actually really dope. Because sometimes you can think, am I ever going to experience my dream? Like, am I ever going to like actually make my dreams into a reality where my dreams become a lived experience? But then he's like, you will experience your dreams eventually and right now. And that whole concept of experiencing your dreams right now, it's like you might not experience your dreams right now in its complete, like its full form. Like your dreams may not be completely realized right now, but I believe that there are elements of our dream that we can bring from the future into the present. And so an example of that is like if I believe that, you know what, when I get old, when I you know make steps towards my dream and I accomplish my dream, one of the things that I really believe in doing is I'm going to take my team and I'm going to take my team on these like company retreats. Like I'm going to build a team and I'm going to go on these retreats and we're going to do a bunch of like deep work, like teamwork building and stuff like that. I'm going to hire like the best of the best, like trainers or coaches or like mindset coaches to make sure that like we're moving in the right direction, that we're moving in a positive direction. And we're not just moving in the right direction, we're moving in a unified direction, that we're all on the same page. We're gelling together. We're working through whatever issues are preventing us from accomplishing our goals. I believe that's going to be like a really healthy thing to do as a team. It's like, okay, whether you have a team of one, like it's just you, or you have a team of two people, like you can start that now, like a scaled down version of that thing. Like bring that thing that you want to do in the future into the present. So you're living a part of your dream right now. If you want it in the future, why not start it now? You know, and there might be constraints, like there might be time constraints or money constraints, and it's like, okay, figure out how to do it in a scaled down way. If you can't afford to hire the best of the best coach, okay, how many influencers on YouTube do you respect, or that coach that you would love to hire? Do they have a YouTube channel? Do they have a platform like a podcast or some type of show? Like, can you still go on that retreat? Like, that retreat might be just driving 30 minutes away to a cool lookout or to the beach or whatever it is, and bringing your laptop, bringing your phone, and diving into some of the content, journaling about it, reflecting on it. If your team is a team of two, it could be you and your assistant or you and your partner doing that thing together. But that's just one example of taking something from the future and bringing it into the present, into the now. And he said something else. He said that he believes that most people are already doing what they actually like want to do, but they might be doing it in like a scaled down version of it. So for example, if you're a person that wants to go to, I don't know, like go to I don't know, a country on the continent of Africa or maybe Latin America, and bring clean water, and that's your dream. That's what you want to do. You're maybe in school for something, or you're getting certificates, or whatever you're doing. Um, Maybe you're just sitting at home watching Netflix, but the things you're watching on Netflix are like documentaries about people who have done that, who have brought clean water to these countries. Like, you are living a part of your dream in the now. Like, you're already doing what you want to be doing, or what you want to be doing in just a scaled down, smaller form. And if you're not doing what you really want to be doing, then ask yourself the question, well, is that really what I want? Like if my present life does not reflect at all the dreams that I have, it's like in my brain, I'm like, well, there's a couple of things that could be wrong there. Like one, it's like, well, is that really what you want? If it's not what you want, then figure out what do you really want? And if it is what you want, then ask the questions that we talked about in the last point. Like, well, what is preventing me from making steps forward? Like, what's preventing me from at least bringing parts of my dream into my current reality? And the answers to those questions, obviously, we talked about in the last point. It's like, be really honest about whatever that the answers to those questions are, you know? So guys, with that, I mean, I think it's time to move on to the no regrets segment of the show.
Come on, hey.
Now, the no regrets segment of the show is a segment of the show where we get to reflect on the episode and answer the following two questions. Number one, is there anything that we said during the episode that you regret saying? Number two, is there anything that you did not say during the episode that you wish that you did say? And with that, let's dive in. All right. So for the no regrets segment of the show, as far as anything that I regret saying, the only thing that I can think of is in that last point, I was trying to think of a part of the world that could use clean water. And I kind of generalized and I said like somewhere in Africa or like Latin America. But I don't really like it. So my parents are from, like my dad's from Jamaica, my mom is from St. Kitts. And there are people who like go on like mission trips to Jamaica to like help out like the people who are living in poverty there. And I think that there can be a misconception that like Jamaica is just like this poor country, and like, are there people living in poverty there? Absolutely. But is it just like this country where everyone's poor? No. Like, you know, like there are people who are very wealthy, there are middle class, there's, you know, people in poverty, like just like in America. It's not America, right? It's a different country, but I don't like referring to like countries or parts of the world as just like poor or impoverished. If it's not the full picture, it's like for me, just because of my experiences, it's important for me to be specific about like, well, I want to go to, I'll just use Jamaica for example. I want to go to Jamaica to help the impoverished people that are there. Like I will partner with the, you know, wealthy and maybe middle class Jamaicans to help the impoverished Jamaicans that are there. So I think like when I kind of generalize, like, oh, like bring clean water to Africa, it's like, well, where in Africa's a continent? Like where in Africa? What countries? Like what uh areas of that country? But I didn't like have it at the top of my mind to know like what country, what area. So that's maybe one regret. As far as anything I did not say that I wish I did say, the only thing I'll say is next week, I'm not 100% sure, so please don't hold me to this, but I'm pretty sure that we're dropping an episode that it's a really fun off-season episode where I interviewed college students at a university that's not too far from me. And it was a fun conversation. It was our first conversation that was filmed in front of a live studio audience. It was a small audience, but it was a live studio audience regardless. And that was a lot of fun. Interviewed two guys in front of an audience in kind of a lecture hall style situation, like a small auditorium. So that episode should be dropping next week. And if I drop a different episode next week, please don't get mad at me. But I believe it's dropping next week. Stay tuned. And with that, guys, thanks for watching the show. Or if you're on one of the listening apps, thanks for listening to the show. Let me know what you thought about today's episode. Like what did you like enjoy about it? Do you like this format? In season 2, do you want to do a little bit more of this kind of, you know, setup, this kind of format? What could be better? I'm constantly growing. We're constantly trying to do better. We constantly want to give you guys what you want, what you're looking for, what could be beneficial for you. So yeah, that's it. With that, Guys, much love, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.